Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 165, our numerology reading with Sandy Atkins.
A few weeks ago, we didn't know anything or very little about numerology, bare minimum, but we were open to learning more. Inside our mastermind, Scale It, we decided to have a theme of the month last month, which was embracing the woo-woo. And so we wanted to lead by example and embrace a type of woo-woo that we didn't know anything about.
Yeah, I'd heard of it, but I'd never really understood or had a reading or looked at the numbers for anything or even realized that you could get a numerology reading for your business.
Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. So we did what any human being on earth does when you want to find somebody that is an expert in a particular field. We went to Google and we searched for numerologists here in New Zealand, and a few came up. Sandy was one of them. And as soon as we landed on Sandy's website, it just felt right.
Felt so warm and
Yeah.
caring and beautiful and nurturing, and we just loved the feeling of what Sandy was putting out. So that's who we got in touch with, and I'm so glad that we did.
Sandy's beautiful. She's got a beautiful soul. And those of you that are listening to this episode, you are absolutely going to feel that radiating off Sandy when she does our joint reading that she did for us very recently.
So we thought, hey, why not let you in on our numerology reading that we had for the VA Foundry. Now, we didn't know what was going to come up in this reading, what topics were going to be discussed, what was going to be revealed. But I'm so glad that we recorded it and that we are letting you listen in behind the scenes of this reading with us.
Yeah, and also really, really grateful that Sandy was open to doing this as well. In fact, her only concern when we brought up the suggestion about sharing it on the podcast, she was all for it, like absolutely, but she was more concerned about how we would feel about potentially opening ourselves up and sharing what potentially could be some quite vulnerable things.
But I think if you've listened to the podcast right up until this point, you would realize that we actually leave nothing unsaid. We are completely transparent and open books. So this just made sense for us. I was excited.
Oh, super excited. So, how we started off before we got to this point, this joint reading, we both individually had personal readings with Sandy. Were they 90-minute sessions? Yeah, 90-minute sessions with Sandy, where she did all of our numbers on a personal level, so our birth date and our names. But we wanted to take it one step further. And we really wanted to have a joint reading which focused on the business. And of course, our business is the VA Foundry. If you ever have any type of reading like this, you need to go back. You need a couple of days after the reading to process it, because it can be a lot of information, great information, but it can be a lot. Take a few days, process it, and then go and re-listen to your reading again, which is exactly what we've done this morning before hopping on and pressing record. And it was amazing the things that we had either missed or not really in the moment understood the importance of what it was that Sandy was sharing with us. So you'll hear very shortly, we had some very obvious brain exploding, jaw dropping aha moments, but it wasn't until re-listening to it again this morning for the second time there was even more clarity that we got from it.
I'm so pleased that you said that, because that is exactly what happened. Everything became so much more clear because we weren't thinking about what is she going to say next and trying to absorb all of this new information. second time round, we'd heard it before, but now we could just focus on picking out those key messages. And it was amazing the amount of things I heard the second time that I'd never heard the first time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Or yeah. And after chatting with you, it's kind of like things that I had picked up on that you had missed, and vice
Mm,
versa.
mm,
So, it's incredible. Now, for those of you that are completely new to numerology, like we were a few weeks ago, the purpose of this reading was, once again, it's about the business, our business name. We provided to Sandy also our launch date. There was a bit of conversation that had to go on between the two of us in terms of our official launch date as well, but we agreed on a date and then provided that to Sandy. And then you will hear Sandy sharing with us our business life path number, and also the destiny, soul, personality, and purpose of our business name.
mm. Which is so interesting because, like, let's talk about the story of how we came up with the VA Foundry. So we joined forces. It was called Savvy School back then, and so we ran with that for a while, but it never
Yeah.
really felt like it was ours, and it never really felt right, did it?
Yeah, so if you don't know about our history, Joe and I's history, um, Joe had the Savvy School. When did you launch the Savvy School? How long?
I think in like 2016.
2016. And then
Yeah.
we met and then created the Virtual Assistant Online Summit together. And we had such a great time doing that summit that the day afterwards, we were like, I really enjoyed that. Did you enjoy working together? Like, it just felt really easy. It just feels right. And
Mm,
then Joe, you then invited me on board to Savvy School. And as you said, it was great, but there was something that didn't feel quite right. It didn't feel like it was ours.
mm.
But a rebrand, if anyone's done a rebrand of their business, they know that it's not a 5-minute job. So we put it off for a while, didn't we?
We did. Like, the Savvy School was written in thousands of places. The logo and the name was everywhere. And it was gonna be a big job. I think that's one reason why we did put it off, but then
Yeah.
I think we just got to the point where it's like, "We can't keep putting this off. Enough is enough. We have to change the name so this feels like ours together." And so we started coming up with, like, alternative names and, like, thinking of all sorts of words. So we probably spent, like, maybe a week or 2 just,
Mhm.
like, coming up with names, seeing how they fit. We'd, like, throw them into our chat channel, like, "Do you like this? Do you like that? No, don't like that, don't like that." And then we, come up with words like alchemy and, things that, like, bringing things together and creating and those kind of words. And then we came across foundry, the word foundry,
Yes.
and putting the virtual assistant. We wanted to have VA or virtual assistant in there, and
Mhm.
VA Foundry didn't quite fit enough. So there's the VA Foundry. And then it just kind of came together, and we pondered and kind of let that seep in for a little while, see how it feels.
Mhm.
And it felt really good, didn't it?
It just felt right. Obviously, we did a bit of Google searching in terms of the official meaning of foundry. And even then, it still felt right. Like, the official meaning for foundry wasn't necessarily what we wanted our foundry to be, but it still felt right. There was
Mhm.
I guess the only kind of doubt we had was, would people feel that the term foundry was a little too masculine, a little too
Mm.
aggressive? That was probably our only doubt around it, would you say?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, like forging metal and melting metal and that kind of stuff, like, yeah,
Yeah.
did that feel too strong? But for
Mm,
some reason it didn't,
no.
and it felt really nice.
And the domain name was available. Like, no
Yes.
one was using it. Like, what are the chances at this
Mm,
point? At this point, 2023, well, this is 2022 in all fairness, it's really hard to get your domain name that isn't being used
mm,
anywhere else, especially with the term VA in it, because it
mm,
is such a sought after, I guess, term to have in your domain names in terms
Mm,
of like SEO and things like that. So
mm.
it
Yeah.
was tough and it was free. So we just grabbed it and went with it.
Yeah, so what you're gonna discover is why this name felt so right for us and why us working together just somehow magically works so well. I've never been in a business relationship with someone where it's so, I wouldn't say easy, but it works so well. The gel, the like how we the pace, how we can get things done,
Mm.
our communication, like everything just gels so beautifully. And I've never experienced that before until now. And this reading is going to really like blow your mind in terms of like why that actually works.
Yeah, I think a massive aha moment for me was once again listening to it the second time. There are terms and phrases that Sandy uses that we use in our messaging, our day-to-day
Mhm.
messaging. And it's like, wow, okay, that's why when we landed on that term, once again, it just felt right and we just went with it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely blowing our minds. So we hope it's gonna inspire you to, embrace the woo woo. Maybe get a numerology reading for yourself or for your business or both. Like it is super powerful and gives you such clarity, which we now have. It's amazing. So without further ado, let's kick it off and we'll let you in behind the scenes of our numerology reading with Sandy Atkins.
So when we look at your life path, Joe, you're an 11-2. So just to reiterate to the people that are listening, that's a master number and it's all about standing on your own 2 feet, and it's about being artistic, spiritual, and inspired. It's very illuminating number. Master numbers, you're here to do sort of like a double degree. And just to remind you, no pressure, Joe, just to remind you. And Sam, you have a master number as well, and it's a 22-4. And so that tells us that you're here to, very much a doer, very capable leader, relates to earthy stability, security, and very much about learning that yourself and then teaching it to others. So we've got two remarkable ladies here. And coming together, you're sort of like a force to be reckoned with. And when we look at, which I'm so excited to share with you about the name that you've chosen, and when we do your charts, we talk about the destiny number, which comes from the name. All the characteristics of all those letters in your name, they bring that the vibration brings a characteristic. So, and so it's interesting, when we start talking about the VA Foundry, what you guys wanted to achieve, what your mission statement was, what you really felt in your heart, and what you really desired to bring forward for people. And I'd like to say that I'm sure it's about for the good of all, because you've both got master numbers, and so you're very, that's a very much a passionate drive to do something for the greater good. So yeah, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But and you have, so how did you feel about when you after you had your sessions with me and you found out what your numbers, like how did you feel? Like did you feel that they were, that you had already owned them, or did you, was there any aha moments or anything?
I feel like it was a confirmation. Well, a few things. A confirmation that like why we're so connected and why we can just get so much achieved. And it would probably blow people's minds to know like just how much we can do together and how easy it works. I
Yeah.
thought that was cool, and I thought that there was a great alignment with the two master numbers.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you understand each other, that intensity of that master number, and
Mm.
why you are different sometimes, because like it's pretty intense vibration to work with. And yeah, sorry, I cut you off, Sam.
No, that's fine. I agree with Joe. I think after my individual session with you, Sandy, I mean, I think I said to you that it was a lot to process. Like I needed to take a couple of days to fully wrap my head around it, because it was a lot of information, but in a great way. And for most of it, it was that confirmation, or that kind of like, oh, okay, that's why I do what I do, or that's why that's definitely a strength. I kind of had thought it was a strength, and Joe says it's a strength, and it's absolutely a strength, like looking at my numbers. So I think there was a lot of confidence that I got, both personally and then professionally with Joe, when we had a chat afterwards, like we compared notes. And I think it really lit a fire up in us both as to not just what we've done to date, but just like what we can achieve moving forward. Like that was really, really exciting.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I wished I could have been a fly on the wall when you had that chat afterwards. It would have been so funny. It was really good that you brought that up about having that time to, go away after the session and just sort of sit with it, because a lot of people, I think, may come to numerology readings or different things like that and think that they're just going to get given an answer. And really, it's about you running it through you. I had a client once that said that he runs it through his heat machine, which is his heart, and goes away and works out what he's going to keep and what he's going to biff. What is true to him, what is logical, what he can work with, because some information just doesn't sit with you, but it might be something that you need to think about later. But it's all about having aha moments, and they aren't always instant, are they? So that sounds great. Yeah, so I'm really pleased. It was it's so good when the information just pops out and goes, this is what you need to do. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're just going to talk about the VA Foundry and look at what the in business we sort of we call it slightly different names, or it's known as different names. So we look at the destiny, which is the vibration from all of the letters in that name, and that in your personal charts we call that the destiny. Sometimes it's called other things, but we'll just stick with that because I think that's what you and I know, and we know what we're talking about in that space. And so the destiny of the VA Foundry is actually a number pattern that it comes to the base number of 6. But when I was giving you a reading, I talked to you about the composite number. So the 2 numbers before the 6 and how they tell us what sort of 6 you are. And so with the VA Foundry, it adds up to 60. And then we add the 6 and the 0 together, and that gives us a 6. And so the 6, let's just talk about that first, and then we'll talk about the composite numbers, because that brings a whole lot of other information. That number pattern is called the bold loving server, which I've just got goosebumps going up my back.
The bold loving server.
Yes.
Wow.
So 6 is always about responsibility, relationships, love, serving. I like to use the word nurturer, but my mentor and teacher tells me, no, Sandy, it's not that. It's about but it's very caring, loving, responsible. It's very healing. It's always about healing. It's very comforting. It's very it makes one feel, so when they hear that name, the VA Foundry, the energy that comes through with that is that it makes someone feel loved and special. So this is just such good information to know about your business, how it comes, like you sort of know, when you're making up a name, or you just know, I like the sound of that, or I like visually how it looks, or whatever. But it's about, the 6 is always about harmonious, peaceful, feels good. It's sort of neutral. It's that, it's that real parenting sort of, I will love you anyway, no matter, there's no dumb questions, there's no, you'll always be forgiven, I will always love you. And it's suitable to those who stability and harmony are their top priorities. And so it's good sense, to have this sort of name in business,
Yeah, it's very
powerful.
fitting.
Yeah, there's with the 6 and the O is the 0. We won't go into it too much. I could do a whole class about the 0, but it's very powerful. It magnifies. The 0 magnifies. When you think about spirit, and the 0 came first and everything came through it, and it's sort of like when you think of having a baby, it's got to come through as a round circle, and I get really passionate about the 0 because it's such a force to be reckoned with, but at the same time it can trip you up because it can just as quickly disappear. So it magnifies something, but it also hides things. And so we have the 6, and it's magnified by the 0. So that makes it, powerful. It's powerful sense of justice. 6 is always about justice. It's the 6 is that, morals and principles, and, that's just not right. You will not do that. And so we see 6s in, people like judges and lawyers and that sort of thing as well, where there's a justice sort of thing going on in different aspect, different other number patterns. There's one called the judge maker, and it ends in 6, but it has different composite numbers. But for you, it's about there's this magnification of those words, responsible, caring, loving, nurturing, healing, and and when we're in that state of being being nurtured, loved, and supported, totally supported, then that person can strive at their best because they always know they've got the safety net. So the 6 is like it's like the mother. The 3 is the child, the 6 is the mother, and the 9 is actually, beg your pardon, the 6 is the mother and the father together, sort of thing, and then the 9 is the world. So we got the 3, 6, 9, very potent. And so it takes away anxiety and fears and heals, and it attracts money slowly and methodically, and the result of effort and common sense. So it's bringing it back to what's the responsible action here? What are you actually responsible for? Building warm, loving relationships with people so that they really feel like they're totally supported. It's that feeling of like sitting on your grandmother's lap and knowing that you can be really naughty. Your mum's going to give you a smack in the mouth, but your grandmother is, really going to just hold her off for a bit longer and like do no wrong. It's that really... It's so empowering. And so that's what your destiny number is. That's the expression of the VA Foundry.
Cool.
Okay. So the next one is what we're going to talk about is the soul of it. And so the soul for VA Foundry is interestingly 22-4. And so 22-4 is Sam's life path number. So straight away it's activated. And so just for the the viewers and for yourself, because you already know, but the 22-4 is always known as the spiritual mother. So it's about stability and security. And so it's about safety. It's about being loyal, and it's about building something, because the 4 is there. The 4 is always about the base number. It's about building a strong foundation. There's 4 corners. It's about security. It's about it's just really about having that loyal. And because it's the 4 is in there, it's about space and structure. It's about something tangible, something that you, a physical space or a structure, a discipline. And what it also tells us is that it's double nurturing, double motherly, double support, double intuitiveness, double feminine, double healing. And so what the soul of your business is, what is, when you really step into that space of coming through your heart space, it makes it very predictable for people. It makes it very there's a routine that gives you strength and structure. Not, you know, a lot of people think predictability and routine, they think, oh, boring, you know, but there's something really smart about that, you know, where you know that it's just going to be money in the bank. It's something that you can do so easily without thinking. It's like just getting up and brushing your teeth. It's just that thing that is just, and each time you do it, it's just brings more strength and stability. And so that's what you love bringing to the, you know, that's what your business loves bringing to the table. And it also tells us that there's an eye for detail. You love that. And that there's strong focus. And that you get to stay, you know, what your heart loves to do is to stay on course no matter what. And so it's trustworthy, orderly. It likes organization because it brings in strength, and people know that they can come to you, and you're like the barge in the water that people can come on, and they just, you know, feel safe and secure. And that's what it means to you as well. You know, that's what the importance of it.
It was all resonating a lot. How about you, Sam?
Yeah, like it would be interesting to know what the sort of things you talked about when you built this business, you know, like what was your mission statement, what was your why, you know, all of those things that we do try and do, which is so hard to put together, you know, those statements, and trying to find that thing that makes you cry, that, you know, you're so passionate about it, really, you know, stirs you up. That's your why. And you know, it is hard to keep working through things to find that, but the name that you've picked says it all.
Sandy, all those doubles that you were talking about,
yes,
the doubles, is there meaning behind that, given that there is two of us in this business?
Not necessarily. The doubles come from, we would talk about that more when we go to the charts, but the doubles come from the double two, and they're all things that the two is. The two is very nurturing. The two is motherly, supportive, intuitive, feminine, and healing, and you've got double that. And so the soul of your business has double that. And also, you know, it feels that it's got this double responsibility to deliver that in its heart space. And so that's where the intensity comes from. And so you've got to balance that. You've got to work with that energy. And it can be, it's so expensive. And so, you know, you're working with an unlimited opportunity, the having that. But wait, there's more.
Oh my gosh.
The personality of the business, which is a lot more important. When we talk about personal charts, and, you know, we went through the core numbers and the hierarchy of that, the life path being the most important. In business, the destiny, the soul, and the personality, they're the three things that we look at.
Yeah.
And so the personality seems to me to be a little bit more important in this realm of working with the business. That's what the numbers tell me, and that's what I feel. Someone else, you know, numerologists all have different ideas, but that's how I feel about it. And so your personality is a number pattern that comes to 11-2.
It does not.
What? Are you for real?
Yeah.
Are you for real?
No, I am for real. Yeah, I'm telling you for real. Yeah, it's a 38-11-2, and that number pattern is called the creative, inspirational, director, or coordinator. So it starts with 38 and it goes down to 11, but an 11-2 energy, which is, as we know, that is Joe's life path number. So it's another activation. So this is all making really sense as to why you two, you know, are working together. And like, this is why I love my work. When you get these things and, you know, and it just goes ping, you know, it's just, I don't know, it just is so beautiful. So let's just talk about that for a minute. So we have the personality, just to remind everyone, is about how other people see you. And so when they're looking to work with you or whatever, this is what hits them in the face. This is what is, you know, is what you would I would say, in your business, what you would strive to have really, really obviously available for people. And so when you're doing your marketing and all of that, you'd really hang off this, because this is what people, the energy of the business, this is the outer sort of shell, and then you get to your inner shell, which is the soul, which is your why, and then your destiny is really where you're running with it, and what you're destined to do with it. And so when we look at the 3811-2, the 3, we know, well, not everyone knows, but the 3 is about creativity. The 3 is the child. The 3 is, so the 3 is saying, I want to create something. And then we have the 8, and the 8 is the manager, the director of the creative idea. So the 3 can be quite scattered, but in this situation, this 1112 has these extra abilities of being able to get the creative idea and then manage it without, because generally just a 3 on their own will have a creative idea and it'll grow and die in their head before they even express it, because they're thinking, well, who'd want to listen to me anyway? But because you've got this 8 there in the background supporting that 3, going, you know what, that's bloody brilliant, we're going to work with that, let's go. And then the 11 gets their running shoes on, because the 11 double ones like to move really fast, and it's go, woohoo. And so you two are hanging on the back with the shirt tails going, oh my God, we can't run fast enough. So, but this is what people see. And the excitement that you create in that space is fantastic. So it's very, very inspirational. And so what we know, what people see is that you're very friendly, you're unpretentious, you're gentle and safe. You really draw people in, a feeling of caring, healing, patience, and sympathy, and compassion. And it just adds that sense of community and belonging, which everyone's just looking for that at the moment. It's so beautiful what you guys do. And so some people they underestimate some of what you do, because that 2 energy can sometimes they sort of think, oh yeah, these guys, they underestimate what's going on underneath. And so that's something to be mindful of. But, you're really inspirational. The business, this name tells us that you're really inspirational and very good at coordinating teams, which is really interesting. Groups, managing groups. You could be great choreographers if you ever want to start a dance troupe, go girls, and great coaches. So that's what this number pattern means in this space. So I mean, I think you've absolutely nailed it with the name. Absolutely. So, and just to go back to, just to recap that, the destiny is where you're going. The soul is your heart, your why, and your personality is what other people see. How does that feel so far?
Well, when we chose the name, it felt so right, didn't it?
It did feel right. Yeah. But I don't think, it felt right, but we didn't put that much meaning into it. But now it makes sense why it felt right.
Right, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think sometimes what I feel this enables you to do is it just puts more cement in your foundation so that you can stand strong and tall and go, really back yourself and go, when you have that intuitive energy, because this proves that, intuitively what you were feeling, but, okay, well, let's go with this or whatever. What it does is it just gives you that ability to work from such a stronger space, and that you can grow faster, because that, you might have to, sort of bend over a bit sometimes because, whoa, but you're going to come back upright. It just makes you feel more secure knowing that you actually nailed it with the name. So what else are you nailing? And so it's going to give you more confidence moving forward into the other things that you intuitively know, but maybe you're a wee bit resistant to. I just feel like it really fuels you. I hope you feel the same.
When you were describing, Sandy, especially the bit where the creative, but without the the doer, the creative, would just be, oh, idea after idea. And the fact that, I mean, that's me and Joe. That's us, like, in a nutshell. That's why this works, because one is the idea person, the other one then goes, okay, this is what we now need to do in order to bring that dream to reality.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when we look at your standby caller, I'll just find my piece of paper. Yeah, you have, no one has an 8 in their chart, which, you know, is that business manager. Like, you have 4s, 1s, 3s, 7s, lots of 7s.
Oh, well, we're both missing the 8s from our personal ones, because what is that called when you're missing it? It actually becomes your
Karmic. It's the thing that if you work on, it gives you the biggest growth. But wait.
Oh my God, there's
tell you about the life path number of the VA Foundry.
Okay.
So the VA Foundry, because you gave me the date that you started it, I could create a spine, and I could create a life path number from that. And so the VA Foundry's life path number is an 8.
Wow.
So that's what you're here to learn the most. So we talked about, and this is where your power lies. So we talked about the life path number. Remember, it's about the journey that you're going to go on. It's the highway. It's, you know, and it's going to be it's going to present to you all these different challenges and everything that happens for you. And I say to all my clients and my, you know, they're not really children, are they? What are they? They're men now, but anyway,
they're still your children.
They're still your children, yeah.
A mum moment, sorry. That, you know, everything happens for us, not to us. And so how we talk about the life path number is that everything that happens sends you off on a little journey, and it might take you down that slip road, and then you've got to find your way back, but it's all for the purpose of your life path destination. And so it's the ultimate achievement, I beg your pardon. It's where your power lies. It's like what you work with is going to set you free, you know, and so it's an 8. But the interesting thing is that the month that you started is a 1. And so the 1 number is the wounded, and it's what you, it's the gift that you can transform through by working with the challenges. So it's what trips you over, it's what kicks you, you know, it's the thing that you can, you know, your Achilles heel, or it's the gift really of being, you know, overcoming this number pattern from the negative, and then that will really step you into your power. And interestingly enough, 1 is the balance number for 8, because 1 and 8 make 9. And so how you get to your ultimate achievement is by working through the challenge of the month number. So it tests you. My teacher says it kicks your ass. And so what does a one month tell us? A number. It tells us about leadership. It tells us about courage, stepping into the unknown, who you are, and moving forward, not procrastinating. It's unique. It's about being an individual. It's about being pioneering. You know, the one likes to invent things. You know, it's very much about finding its own identity. And so that would indicate to me that is a big part of what the VA Foundry teaches others, because what you need to learn most yourself, you teach best. And so it's about teaching you and others to sort of stay true to their self. It's about your integrity. It's about rebirths. It's about starting new. It's about new doors are open, and it's about self-belief. And so it's about you constantly striving, well, not constantly, but it's about you, or providing opportunities for others to pivot. And that's why I love working with you two, because that is my big passion, is about providing a platform for people to go, you know what, that was where I was before, but I I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be that person, or I want to change. And so this is where this one energy comes. It's like stepping away from the pack and going, you know what, I'm just going to have some alone time, and I'm going to work out whether that works for me. So and it's really finding your own individuality and finding out what you're dependent on so that you can be independent of it. And that could be all sorts of things. It could be dependent to being a people pleaser, dependent to being saying yes all the time. You know, it's all of those sort of things. And so with having a life path number as an 8, and it's here to empower itself through business. The 8's all about business. It's all about abundance. It's all about manifestation. And so what you're doing along this pathway is that you are going to get in touch with your power. And so the 8 will assume power. It's to achieve control and responsibility in a chosen field. So this is what the VA Foundry is teaching. So and that's quite diverse. Like, you know, we say virtual assistant, but what I'm seeing is in that virtual assistant, they could be a virtual assistant for all sorts of different modalities, you know, and so I find that quite fascinating. The 8's also about recognition. It's about these young people having recognition. It's about being expansive. It's about growth. It's about growth in the business world and taking, you know, ownership of that, like stepping into your sovereign power, like, you know, not allowing someone else to tell you that you can't be or do or succeed or whatever. It's like really stepping into that personal sovereign power, and that's what you're here. That's the path. And so that could lend itself to anything. So diverse, you know, because that personal power can be in any genre, you know. So if you thought you'd got to the end of your runway, you're just about to take off. That's how I see it. The 8 is the symbol of infinity. So it's about trusting in the prosperity of the universe. It's about sharing talents and gifts in the world. It's the power head. It's the setter of boundaries and limitations. I could have gone on and on for ages. I've just got 2 more. It can always see the bigger picture. And their power, it's the empowerment of self and others. And so it's very powerful life path number, and it has it sort of endows this tremendous potential. And then you two, being master numbers, you have the ability to rein that in, you know, like, because in a way you're, you know, you can step above everybody else, you know, and I don't mean that in any other way, rather than and being able to see out the infinity. You have the ability, limitless ability, to be able to have that vision for other people. And so it's about you, and what I mean by that, you have the ability to conceive far-reaching schemes and ideas. And it's about tenacity. It's about providing independence for people. It's about following them down the road. It's about, Celia Lasher used to talk about boys, you know, like the mother should always let the boy go up over the bridge and you walk under the bridge. You don't walk over the bridge holding their hand. And that's this sort of powerful energy. It's about not doing it for them, it's doing it with them. It's about fully realizing the necessity to delegate responsibility accordingly, surrounding yourself with efficient, loyal, experienced associates. And the way to do that is to teach them to rise up, so that, you know, you're building an army of people, you know, that can rise up and be in their own sovereign power. I've got goosebumps. They're all over my head, my body, they're everywhere.
I just had a big shiver, like an all over body, like shiver, like,
I think
Oh,
that bit there is the crux of that, isn't it? Like
mhm.
raising up all of the virtual assistants in the community, having them step into their power and like own what they want to do, how they want to do it, but do it in their own way.
And the
Yeah.
interesting thing is, like, everyone sees, and I know we've had a little chat about this, but everyone sees AI as a bit of a negative. But what if we could use AI to be more empathetic? What if we could use it to be more emotional and more, the thing that it can't be? But what if we could assist it, use it to assist us so that we could have more time to be emotional and empathetic and soulful and caring and all of those things.
Mm.
So I have a little few sentences just for you. And so your purpose, and I always laugh about your mission, should you choose to accept it, like Charlie Dangerous, is to encourage others to achieve their own sense of abundance, power, and recognition. At the highest level, you feel the inherent abundance of life, of nature, of spirit, and feel moved to share with others. And so people that had life path 8s were Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, Tina Turner, and Elizabeth Taylor. And then we'll also talk about the fact that this business has an 11-2 personal year this year.
Oh.
So, and how we get to the personal year is by adding your month number, your day number, and getting to your first pinnacle, which gives us 4. And then we're in a current year of 7. So you add 4 and 7 together and you get 11-2. So I think Spirit's really trying to get your attention with this 11-2. So I'll cover as much as I can. So the 11-2 personal year, the personal year is about the direction, the stage direction, where the path, the opportunities, and the challenges. And so this is this 11-2. So it's really intense. Like, has this been a really intense year for you guys?
The most intense year. The most intense.
The biggest understatement ever, Sandy.
Wow, because when I saw this, I was like, holy heck, I wonder what's been going on. I've only just met you, and I can see that you're fast and furious and everything. But like for you, this is hold your hats sort of stuff, And the other thing is, just to quickly, when we think about that personal year of your business being a 2, next year's a 3. And so the 3, when I tell that little story about, the 1, you plant the seeds and you don't know which seeds are going to take off. So the 1 energy is like putting in heaps of seeds, having lots of ideas and then the 2 year, you just watch and you wait and you're patient and you see. And so you would have had that sort of year this year, but because it adds up to 11 and it's an 11-2 year, then it's a bit more intensified, which is how you girls like it, obviously. And so next year is the 3 year where for you guys is the energy is really where you've manifested some great things. So it's time to have a bit of fun. It's a time to sort of celebrate that because you've manifested what you're doing and really rejoice. And I noticed on social media that you're running a retreat in is it Bali?
Bali, yeah,
in Bali. And so for a VA retreat, perfect. Next year, absolutely perfect. You've manifested all of what you're doing, and now you're going to have some fun with it. And so the 3 is, it's very much about self-expression. It's about expressing yourself and finding your voice and having some fun and talking about what's gone on and what you've done and what seeds you planted and wow, I didn't expect that to happen and really sharing that and the excitement of that and really just celebrating what you've manifested. So perfect timing for you next year.
That feels really nice to know that.
Yeah, it does. I feel like you've just given us permission to have fun next year, and it means that any kind of pressure looking forward to the next 6 months because I think that we've still got some areas of quite intense pressure that we need to kind of overcome in order to do it what we set out to achieve. It's going to be worth it, because next year we can then take a breath and just enjoy it and have fun with it. So
yeah,
it's
and
really
get
nice.
creative, and like, you know, when we often, I mean, my husband and I, we find that when we go on holiday, that's when the ideas sort of come to life. And I'll just get rid of the whiteboard. That's when the ideas come to life, and they you know, come to mind. It's when you're relaxed, and when you're, you know, you haven't got the barriers up, and you're letting things just land, you know, and you and so yeah, it's the perfect time to do that. And yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what you guys get up to. You just so a couple of little powerhouses. So yeah, it's been wonderful working with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandy. That is and like you say, after having a reading, you really need a few days to just really let everything sink in, process it. So I think that's going to be us for the next couple of days, is processing that, having another rewatch.
I mean, you would have seen from our reactions, there's a couple of things that you shared in the last hour that were literally jaw-dropping. It was like, what? Like, it really does cement that this and what we've created and what we're creating, it literally is meant to be. Like, it was meant to be.
And that purpose, when you talked about the purpose of like encouraging others to achieve their own, I'm paraphrasing now, but achieve their own success and like
Yes.
what's right for them, that is exactly what we do. And supporting everyone, you know, no VA left behind is what we talk about in the Launch in 30 Days course,
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
because we want everyone to feel really supported and step into their power of being a business owner.
Yeah, and you have that skill, you know, and you know that being able to just hold that space for them, because a lot of people don't necessarily know how to do it on their own, but if you can walk it through with them, it empowers them, and the more we empower more people, then the more we all rise up, and it's a beautiful, and just to see people turn their life around, I mean, it's just such a blessing, and to be a part of that as well must be such an honor as well. Yeah.
When we hear VA say that this was life-changing, like going through the course, or, you know, how living their best life is what someone said in the session we just had, like that's the stuff that I get teary about, because it's just so impactful and does change people's lives. And it's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sandy.
Oh, it's such a pleasure and such an honor, and thank you for inviting me here to do this with you. It's so thrilling for me. I love, I just get so excited doing it, and I've still got lots more pages here to chat with you.
Oh, we can't wait. I think this is just really, it's really empowered us, I think, like having these sessions with you over the last few weeks, both individually and now together. It's been really, really empowering.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Sandy. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.